Hello there, this is Dominic Cioli, your co-host again. This episode has quite a bit of swearing, as Jack and I got pretty frustrated with the comic we're talking about. And also, one more quick thing, this episode also features a slight cameo by our younger sister Gina, who you can hear playing the saxophone through about half of the episode in the background. It's not too distracting, but it is kind of there. We didn't realize that she was playing it until we were about an hour in, so just keep that in mind. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. Hello, my name is Dominic Cioli,
And I'm Jack Cioli.
and this is the Super Cioli Bros podcast. This week, we are going to talk about Big Hero 6, both the movie and the 2008 Marvel Comics miniseries. So, Jack, do you want to start with the good or the bad?
Definitely the bad.
Alright, the bad is the comics. They came out in 2008, right? It was a five-issue
Yeah.
miniseries.
This is not like the debut series for these characters.
No, well, it is for some of them.
Right.
Big Hero 6 originally appeared in a 1998 miniseries with a couple of X-Men characters. And
Yeah.
Hero, Baymax, Honey Lemon, and Go-Go Tamago are the carryovers from that. And then Wasabi and Fred are original to the 2008 miniseries.
Right. So this is the incarnation that most closely resembles the movie team.
Yes, yeah, because all the characters from the movie are in this little series.
Cool.
The series was written by Chris Claremont, maybe like the definitive X-Men writer of all time.
Not a maybe. Definitely.
And drawn by, what's this guy's name? What's the guy's first name?
The first name is David Nakayama, or his full name. Sorry, his full name is David Nakayama.
And he's still around, but I don't think he's done interiors in a long time. I mean, he's done the covers for All New Ultimates since it came out. But as far as I know, when I looked him up,
That's this guy. I really like that guy's art.
yeah, it's good. It's the better thing about the book.
Oh no. Not here, I don't like it. I like it elsewhere.
Oh, I actually like the art in this.
Oh man, I think it's got moments, but I think it's got some grade A problematic nonsense.
Oh well, yeah, but I think some of that can be pinned on Claremont.
No. The way he's drawing the characters is the issue I'm talking about. I mean, yes, some of that stuff's written into the script, but it's not it's not on him. It's on the dude with the pencil.
All right, so let's start talking about specifics. Talking about the plot of this book is going to be damn near impossible because it almost doesn't exist. Jack described it to me today as the worst comic he has ever read.
It honestly might be. And so here's what I think is really strange about it is like when we do get into the actual plot of what happens, it feels like it takes certain turns into like being a kid's book, like making these absurd decisions that would only happen in a kid's book, which will be clarified in a second. But then it also has these really adult situations that we'll also get into more.
Yeah.
So it's like it's tonally all over the map. But so the first thing that happens is we're introduced to the team. Specifically, though, we get Hero, who's waking up for school, and he's got his robot Baymax, kind of just charging up, and he's checking current events, and he sees some weird thing happen in New York. Whatever, he's got to go to school.
First things first, though. Assuming that you've seen the movie by now, or at least seen trailers for Big Hero 6, the first thing we need to talk about is Baymax. Baymax in the comic is nothing like Baymax in the movie.
Yeah,
Baymax
so the only thing that they share is that they are robots.
Yeah, and they are called Baymax. That is where the similarities begin and end.
So
he's
we'll get around to the movie after we talk about the comic. But basically, in the comic, Baymax is a robot built by Hero, who is a child prodigy, super genius, and he's basically built to be his like companion guy. The thing I don't care for about Baymax is that he waffles back and forth, dialogue-wise, between sounding like a regular person and sounding like a robot. Did you notice that at all?
to be honest, it's been a while since I read this, but I flipping through it now, I can see what you mean.
So like he has some dialogue where he's like analyzing anomalies detected or whatever, and then he has other dialogue where he's like, "Nice going, honey lemon. Thanks for the help" or whatever, and it's like he sounds like a regular Joe. It doesn't. He's bad. But anyway, so plot wise, Hero goes to school. We get introduced to two more characters to the team and kind of the way he interacts with them, which is that they kind of give him a hard time. But that is Go-Go Tamago and Honey Lemon.
And one thing to keep in mind is Hero is what, like 14, maybe?
Yeah.
Honey Lemon and Go-Go Tamago look like they're, I don't know, seniors in high school or college age.
Yeah, see, I that's another part where I get really confused about this book because they struck me as being at least college age, if not maybe older than that.
Yeah, for sure. But then there's that one scene where they're in high school. One
Not
issue.
that one scene, a whole huge chunk in the middle.
Yeah.
Like a major part of the story where they're all masquerading and like they're high school students. But so anyway, it's weird. We get introduced to them. Hero goes to school. He's trying to pretend to be just a normal kid. And that's another area where the movie is just far superior, is in Hero's characterization. This is supposed to be a super genius who decides to go to regular school because he says his friends are there, but he doesn't really have any meaningful interactions with them. They're just talking to him like regular school kids would talk to other regular school kids, Like there's nothing that says to me that they're actually friends or anything.
Yeah.
And then he also, this super genius spouts off really stupid shit a lot.
Yeah, I get the gist though that this school seems to be like a school for geniuses, but
Oh, that's right. That one guy says something about that. The older, like
the
professor.
headmaster or something.
Yeah.
But but yeah, Hero is supposed to be the super genius, but then he has lines like what you told me earlier. Time zones make my head hurt.
Yeah, the concept of time zones make this super genius confused. A super genius who invented a pair of glasses where one lens records everything he sees and the other lens is like an internet browser.
And who invented a robot.
Yeah, a sentient robot. So anyway, they're being watched by this mysterious lady who's watching on a bunch of screens, um, and then we get introduced. Honey Lemon and Go-Go go back to headquarters where we're introduced to new team member Wasabi.
And in now, do you have a? Eventually, we are gonna, just by nature of this conversation, we're gonna overlap a little bit between comic and movie, while we're talking about the comic. In Big Hero 6 in the comic is a Japanese superhero team. So Hero is Japanese. Uh, everyone,
Ostensibly, they all are,
everyone's
except
Japanese except Honey Lemon doesn't look at all Japanese.
no, she doesn't. But she at one point refers to Americans as like a foreign concept.
Yeah, but so that is something that it's kind of hard to avoid about the movie. Really, only Hero and Go-Go kind of looks Japanese, Asian, faintly Asian. But overall, they changed most of the characters' races.
Well,
Wasabi
not.
is black in the movie, and I'm not saying that this is necessarily a bad thing. It
Yeah, I
is
mean,
something
I,
that,
I I disagree though that they changed most of the characters' races for the movie. Uh,
well,
uh, like Honey Lemon is about as Japanese as if I were to say that I was Japanese.
well,
So,
I mean, at least I mean, she doesn't look Japanese in the comic, but I mean, she is.
Well, no, well, I mean, she's from there, but I suppose, her race, I guess, is white, but I don't think they changed her race for the movie. The only race they really changed for the movie was Wasabi, and they made him black. So I don't think, like, I've heard a lot of people complain when they first, started showing some character designs for Big Hero 6, the movie. People were saying that it was like whitewashy or something, but I think that's based on an uneducated assumption that because Big Hero 6 is Marvel's Japanese superhero team, that they all were Japanese originally. Which, yes, all of them were except this blonde chick, but the only like race change that really happened went from one person of color to another person of color.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not. I'm not criticizing the movie for that, but I mean, it should just be noted when we're talking about these characters. They're slightly different.
Yes. Oh, they're very different.
Yeah.
One instance is enjoyable and well handled, and the other instance is terrible and not good in any capacity. But so anyway, Wasabi, new character, he's a chef and he's cooking them lunch or whatever, and then some ninjas attack, and it's revealed through like narration boxes that this is like a training exercise, and it's just an excuse to show off Wasabi's powers in kind of a um, low danger environment, I guess. But so then we cut back to the school, and there's an attack by these three supervillains. One of them's name is Gunslinger. He's got these like energy guns that he shoots. That seem he can use to freeze people. It seems. There's Whiplash, which made me curious because Whiplash is already a character in the Marvel universe. So like, is this just a random accident or what happened there? I thought that was kind of funny. So then, what's the other guy's name? Is it Brute or something like that?
I think it's Brute.
He's just a big punchy guy. Oh yeah, and Whiplash, in case it needs to be said, has a whip. So they attack the school. So Baymax like robots up. Oh yeah, he had been in a disguise, which was a man in a bowler hat. I don't believe we specified that earlier.
No, yeah, in the comics, he either looks like a man in a bowler hat or like a Gundam.
Yeah, like a Gundam that has spent all its time in the gym. And his design actually looks kind of cool. Like I don't think he looks bad.
I think
Um,
he looks kind of stupid when he is in the boulder.
oh yes, well the bowler hat thing is really stupid, but his robot design is pretty cool.
Yeah, looks like a good-looking robot.
So anyway, there's a fight. Uh,
Hey, real quick, did you notice that the top of his head, when he's a robot, kind of looks like the top of Frieza's head from Dragon Ball
yeah,
Z?
that weird like ridge thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. There's a fight at the school. Baymax starts fighting, and that's when the rest of the heroes show up. Go-Go in full costume, which is an over-designed mess, if you ask me. Uh, and Honey Lemon, who has okay, so her power is the most radically changed of the group, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So we should probably talk about that. Honey Lemon in the movie is like she's like a chemistry genius, right?
Yeah, she makes like balls of chemical combinations that have different effects. There's one that's like a smoke screen. There are a couple ones that are like, I don't know, gels that harden real quick, stuff like
Yeah, and
that.
there's stuff that she can like bounce off of, and so she has this like little purse on a little purse she carries that she can type in like the combination of chemicals she wants, and then it like spits out a little ball for her to use, um, which is a really cool idea and a nice way to translate what her power is in the comics, which is a purse from which she can pull out anything, seemingly.
Oh yeah, like necessity post or something. I think it's called something at some point. Maybe not in this one, but it might be in the original one.
I'm pretty sure
It's
she called it her power purse.
yeah, power post. That's what it is.
But so Gunslinger had shot his freeze gun at a bunch of students. Honey Lemon strolls up and pulls out this little device from her purse, and I'm thinking it's gonna be like a little like heat ray thing to unfreeze them, but it's just I click this button down and you're instantly unfrozen device.
Yeah. So she basically has a magic post that can do anything at all.
Right. Apparently, the rule for it that we only get in the last chapter of this 5-issue miniseries is that she can only pull out one device at a time. So she can't like arm everyone with the exact item they need to defeat their enemy all at once, I suppose. But in theory, she could do it herself.
But so here's kind of the range of what can come out of this post. As Jack just said, in this situation, she pulls out like a magic unfreeze clicker. And either at some point in this miniseries or the original one, she just pulls out a net, like a bug net.
Oh, that's in the original. I don't remember that.
Yeah. Just like a big bug net to catch someone who is falling.
I mean, later in this one, she pulls out a glowing golden orb that can become like liquid armor onto a person, which we'll get to later. But so, you know, this brawl takes place. Go-Go's powers are also they're close to her powers in the movie, but a little bit different. She has a power suit, but it lets her, like, it gives her super strength, and she can seemingly fly as well. Whereas in the movie, she's basically like a super fast rollerblader, which is way cooler. And she's got discs she can throw, which she does not have in this one.
Yeah, discs that she throws and they come back to her.
Yeah.
Boomerang discs. But yeah, she has the coolest power in the movie.
She's the best. She's the best thing in a movie of great things. She was my favorite character. Anyway, so the fight, you know, happens. Wasami shows up. Everyone fights. His power is also a little different than in the movie. In the movie, he has these basically these laser blade gauntlets, where he can like slice stuff. In this one, he can, and it's really unexplained. Which, if this is his first appearance, is a strange choice, but.
Yeah,
it
is his first appearance.
He can manifest these like key knives that he throws with like super accuracy and stuff. But it kind of he has no origin. He can just do this, which I'm fine with. But it's kind of a weird choice. Like, it's just, here's this guy, he can do this power, and we're rolling with it.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be explained in like one dialogue box, because I mean, this is the Marvel universe. All you have to do is say that he's a mutant. And there you go.
Right, yeah. In this, all he says is, that comes from the ability of my mind to formulate and project pulses of ki energy. So you can just do this thing. So anyway, they beat the bad guys, and the bad guys transform into like regular civilians, like they had been somehow possessed. The authorities show up. The Big Hero 6 team leaves except for Hero, who has to maintain his cover at school for no reason. Then we get an instance later, we cut later to after school, and Hero has this, he's like hooked up to Baymax's history basically, and he's looking through these goggles at the crime scene, trying to find clues or whatever. And they see this like group of thieves breaking into a bank.
A bank that was like pretty close to the school, so the shit that was going down at the school was basically a distraction.
Right. So then while they're doing this, their feed gets hacked and someone else shows up into this little crime scene virtual world, and that is Fury.
Yes. Not subtle at all, especially when she throws an eye patch on later.
Yeah, so she's basically Japanese female Nick Fury, and I gotta say, I liked that a lot. Like,
yeah, it wasn't. It was the right kind of like goofy silliness. That is pretty. It's fun.
Yeah, like at this point, all she says is that her name's Fury, and then at the end of the page, she makes an offhand comment about how something cost her her eye, but she has both her eyes, so it's like, what's they talking about? And then that leads to a little twist near the end, where she pulls out her eye because it helped her overcome some possession thing, and she breaks it, and so then she's wearing a patch for the whole time, and it's amazing.
And I want to mention something that's on this page that happens a couple times in this series, and I think it's pretty weird. There are shots of like the skyline of Tokyo, and it's either a sunset or a sunrise, but it's like it's the Japanese, like the Empire of Japan rising sun flag. That seems to me pretty strange.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's that's one of those things where artists a lot of times will fall back on these tropes and these stereotypes, and for them in this, that translates to and actually in a lot of comics, Japanese characters are all about the rising sun flag thing. Which, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that offensive?
Yeah, I've always thought that has a very negative connotation. Like obviously not as bad as the swastika, not the swastika flag,
Yeah, but
but
it's like their version of that.
yeah, at least that's what I've always thought, and that's what I've seen in other media.
Right. So it's so basically that's just an example of this being handled with not the most amount of delicacy. So anyway, she explains, the deal, which is what is the deal? They have these, so there are these exotic assets or whatever that she discovered, and they've been being like one on each continent, and the one from Japan was just stolen during the fight with Big Hero 6. And so she's enlisting them to help her, and they need to go to, I guess the last one is in New York, and so they need to go there. Question, Nick. Do these assets ever come up again? Do we ever find out what they are or see any of them?
Yes, we actually do.
What?
Um, they are those glowy stones that we
I
see
read
like
this
once.
today.
They they're never explained fully, but you remember those stones, right? That show up in like the second to last issue.
Okay, well let me rephrase then. Are they ever used for anything or explained what their purpose is at all?
No, not
No.
at all.
They so ostensibly in this first issue, because then that's where it ends. Hero goes, shows up at this meeting with the rest of the team and the government, basically, and they're like, okay, so we're sending you guys to America under the command of Miss Fury, and she's going to lead a mission to protect this asset. So that's when I finished this first issue, and you had already told me so much about how this book was terrible. I was like, well, this doesn't seem that bad. I mean, it's a pretty standard premise. But no, we're about to shift gears real hard when we get into issue 2.
Yeah, and at this point though, they don't know who Fury is, right?
Uh,
Like there's the lady who goes with them who is Fury, but do they know that she's Fury at that point?
yeah, they introduce her as that. She's playing timid but for really no discernible reason because they never do anything with that twist. But like, uh, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, the little general guy says the Ministry has agreed that Fury Wamu herself will be tactical command of this mission.
Okay.
Like she walks in, they know her name, she's given command, and it's weird because on the previous page, she doesn't have glasses, she's all confident and smarmy, and then in this page she's got glasses and she's all like timid and generally like any character that has glasses, that's what she's acting like.
Yeah, and it's another thing that shows that this I don't know how much thought went into this book because like there's no reason for her to be pretending to be so timid.
Yeah, like we never see, and when this happened, this is another instance. I was expecting there to be some kind of payoff to this, where she pulls out some badass moment. Uh, but it doesn't really happen. Like I think there's a part near the end that they're trying to go for that, but it doesn't land at all. So it makes this whole setup uh, pointless, basically. So anyway, here's where things get off the rails for the first time. We show up in America at the beginning of issue 2. We're now in New York, I guess. It's never really established where we are, is it?
We pretty much. Well, actually, I don't know. I thought they were in San Francisco.
See, I know that they made a reference to the American Wild West, but there's never like a location thing. And I
For
thought
some
they were going to
reason,
New York because that's where that anomaly was. Like they had already set up this American thing in the first couple pages.
yeah. For some reason, I remember. I think I remember seeing, like the Golden Gate Bridge in the background of a shot. But
Mm.
oh, you know what? They are in New York. In the second page of issue 2 says, now our heroes are headed undercover to New York.
Yes. So that's where we're at, and we open up on this house, this like suburban house, and uh, we see Fury failing to cook dinner or failing to cook breakfast, and we get a big like team shot, and everyone gets a little identifier. But the first guy we see is marked as Fred, our new member.
Yes, somebody who has never been seen or mentioned before.
So that's a weird way to start.
And one thing
Um,
that I realized that we kind of messed up. Fred is American. Earlier, like 10 minutes ago, we were talking about how everybody in Big Hero 6 is Japanese. Fred is actually not. He's from New York.
well, no, they say he grew up on an army base, like in Japan or something.
Well, he's still. I mean, he's still American.
Yeah, I mean he's American, but he doesn't look white to me. Like he looks Asian. Does he? He looks Japanese to me.
I mean, he does have. He looks vaguely Japanese, but yeah, it's the same thing with. He looks more Japanese than Honey Lemon.
Seriously. But so anyway, that's a good segue. Let's talk about Honey Lemon for a second.
Yeah, Honey. Well, in this particular scene, Honey Lemon and Go-Go are dressed in like if you were to see a really dubious Japanese anime that's really over sexualized, that's what they are wearing.
Yeah, like Go-Go slightly less so. Like she
Oh
has
yeah, she is more respectable looking than Honey Lemon is.
like Go-Go's wearing pants, and she has this like midriff revealing top that's collared with a little like red tie, and it's sleeveless. And then there's this like weird mesh thing on that connects the top to the pants. It's really odd. But then we get Honey Lemon, who's in I don't need this defies explanation. Like it's like a Lolita costume, but with like a like exposed midriff and like a shorter skirt and like high stockings. It's really bizarre.
And yeah, high stockings that go up to basically mid thigh and high heeled shoes.
Right? Yeah.
And
Like they're like absurdly high heeled, right?
yeah, very, very high heeled. And I don't know if you noticed this, but in a shot you see her back, and she has a tramp stamp that appears to be of Hello Kitty.
Yes, I did see that, and that's also in the character design portion at the end of the first issue. They talk about that because she also you can barely see it, but in this big team shot, uh, behind Hero's arm is a very small little triangle on her like exposed midriff section, and that's part of like a lemon tattoo she has.
I didn't know that. That's fucking weird. Just gonna say.
So anyway, the next page is where we get part of the confusion with Honey and Go-Go's ages. So Fury tells them that they need to dress more appropriately because they're going to school. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, why didn't they go to school when they were in Japan? That's kind of weird. And then they both say, hey, we're not kids, we're done with school. So how
Yeah.
old are they?
So they're clearly older than 18, but yeah, I mean, in comics sometimes it's hard to tell like young women's ages, but they could easily be anywhere between like 18 and like 25.
So yeah, it's
But apparently, yeah, they're going undercover at a high school, and
but it's
this is
never okay. So yeah, so they're going to school, and it's I guess excessively subtly implied that they're going undercover, but we don't know why. We have no connection to what they're doing, and it's never fully explained that they were chosen for this because they're all young looking at all, or that they are young. Like we don't know anything about them. Also, okay, sorry, I gotta backtrack back to that team shot. There's another character here.
and just for you listeners, I'll take a screenshot of this team shot so that you can follow along.
So there is a girl eating breakfast named Maris.
I have no idea. I pronounced it Mary's, but
But
Mary's makes a lot more
that
sense.
implies there's more than one Mary. I don't know. I pronounced it Maris. It sounded
I mean,
sort of
Mary's
like
makes a lot more sense. So let's roll with that.
so. This is the okay. Here's a box, just in case we've confused the shit out of you already. The last issue ended with them saying they were going to New York to like protect and retrieve a device, right? Or some kind of artifact deal.
Yeah.
Here's the box at the end of this page. We're here to protect a scientist, Dr. Ayasama, and his daughter Maris. What?
Yep, completely different.
Comes out of nowhere. So here's this girl, there's a scientist, I guess, and they're here to protect them. Do we know anything about that or any connection from that to the artifacts? No. It feels like, this is what I told you, Nick. It feels like there are whole scenes that took place between issues that we needed, but they cut for some reason.
And honestly, that's like a Big Hero 6 tradition. Because in the first, it was a 3-issue miniseries called Sunfire meets Big Hero 6 or something. But there was like a 1-day gap between every issue, which is like it's just jumping over important scenes all over the place. And this does the exact same thing.
So next we get a scene where Go-Go and Honey Lemon, I guess, try and pull a prank on the new guy, Fred, for seemingly no reason. I guess it's been established that their like thing is to like hassle the other team members or like surprise them and try and like catch them off guard or whatever. So they do this thing that I kind of had trouble following. It basically looks like he's carrying some dirty dishes and they bump him. I guess just to get him to drop the dishes or something. And he ends up doing this like slick move where because Honey Lemon like pretends to trip and knocks into him. He bumps the thing. Go-Go like knocks him on the back so he drops all the dishes. And then for some reason she comes in for with a left hook.
Yeah, like what the hell is she doing? Like I get pretending to trip somebody, but then one person pretends to trip him and then the other one punches him in the face. That's not
Well,
a
no,
good prank at all.
she doesn't even pretend to trip him. She pretends to trip herself and bumps into him. And so he does this slick move where he like catches her. He like slings his arm under her and catches her. That same arm catches both of the dishes at the same time, and then he uses his free arm to block the punch. And so when I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, they're hassling him, they bump him to make him drop the dishes. Oh, he pulls a switcheroo, catches her, and catches the dishes. Wait, where did that punch come from?
Yeah, and then so that the page ends with him blocking the punch, and then the next page is Go-Go punching him with her right hand.
Yeah, she goes for a right hook after that. And here's what the description is basically, they tried to lightly, give him a hard time, and he didn't, like, the thing is, like, it says he didn't play her game or something like that. He didn't follow her script and makes her look bad. And so her response to that is to deck him.
Deck him and then tackle him outside of the house. And then Honey says, "We were just fooling around. Fred's the one taking it seriously." No, he's not.
Yeah.
Go-Go is trying to murder him.
So so then we get that, that classic heroes fighting each other before they team up moment where Wasabi tries to like use his energy blades to like calm them down, and Fred dodges it and thinks it's an attack on him. So he throws Gogo's unconscious body. He throws it at them, and it knocks them down. And Honey claims that that was a cheap shot, which coming from her is interesting. Uh, and yeah, basically, there's just this big brawl breaks out. Baymax goes to try and stop it, and then we cut to Hero, whose super special glasses are futzing out, and we find out that Maris has a similar pair of glasses.
So yeah, they have similar glasses, and then they do something that Chris Claremont, at least in this particular miniseries, apparently loves, where he has characters saying the same thing to each other.
Okay, so here's the thing about that. That's like a general trope. We've seen 1,000 times the meet cute scenario where two characters say, the same thing to each other, that like Jinx moment, and they're like, ha ha ha, how crazy. So Claremont, who's known for being wordy as hell, does this, and he does it with 43 consecutive words.
Yeah, it's not so much that they like, oh man, they're so alike. It's like, oh, for a second they have the same brain. Like
Yeah,
they say 4 paragraphs to each other, the exact same thing.
like the regular scenario is two characters going, "Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry. Oh, we said the same thing." Like those like short sentences that you would obviously say, like that type of deal. This is like it's baffling. It's like one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's a 10-word sentence in here.
Yeah, it's 4 speech bubbles.
One of them says, instead of "I didn't mean to," like "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you," they both say at the same time, sorry, my apologies, didn't mean to step on your." What? Who would
Yeah,
ever say that?
that's something that nobody would say, let alone 2 people saying it at the exact same time.
So anyway, it's this like really overblown, aren't we adorable for each other moment that is like perfectly Claremontian. It's hilarious and stupid. And then we cut back to the fight, and that's when Baymax shows up and basically just grabs him and is like, "I don't want to fight you." And Fred's like, "I'm gonna flip you." And so he's got like super strength, and we're kind of confused by Fred's whole deal. And then Baymax sees this like giant lizard projection that shows up above Fred for a second, and then he apologizes and they stop fighting.
I don't know how to describe what Fred's deal is.
So it seems like he can call upon this like manifestation of basically like a Godzilla type kaiju monster, and he can like use its power, like he can be super strong from it and stuff. And then later on, we see he like manifests it in full and can like use it to super punch stuff when he's not, like it's like a construct basically he can manipulate. But here so far, it's the only certain people can see it at certain times. It's like built up as this mystery, and just by contrast, his deal in the movie is he's just in a robot suit of a monster.
Yeah, he's like geeky Iron Man.
Yeah, so basically, like I mean, this is gonna come up all the time, but the movie is like a simplification and enhancement on ideas that are presented in this book that are terrible.
Now, then the pretty much they like apologize to each other and stuff, and then they go to school, and then we get a page that makes no sense. The page where this one guy is taking pictures of them, like reconnaissance pictures, but there's one where he's outside the house and they're getting into the car. That makes sense. Then the next one is him like 4 stories above the high school, taking a picture down on them. And then the next picture is him at a dock taking pictures of the professor and Fury. And then the next picture is that boat boating away. But like those two things are happening at the exact same time, but this is only one person.
Right. So that's terrible. And also, it implies this puppet master villain who's gonna do all this stuff to set them against each other and all these things. But that will only come up once, 2 issues from now, and then they'll handle it, and then it's gone. So it's another instance of like this build-up that doesn't really go anywhere, and then we cut to Plum Island, which I guess is a government research facility. And okay, this is okay. So okay, this is where they connect it to the artifact thing.
Yeah, we finally get a mention of this artifact again.
So there's a crystal that they are doing experiments on, and Fury is with this scientist guy, the one that they're apparently protecting, and they're basically, expositioning a little bit about basically just that the crystals exist and that someone's coming to steal them. Like, we still don't get any information on what they are, what their purpose is. And if you think we're going to, we're not. The story's going to take a crazy-ass turn at the end. God. So, I can't wait till we get to that part. But so, then we cut to the high school.
And the next 2 issues, I think, will show that I don't think Chris Claremont knows how high schools work.
Right. Absolutely. But also, I think this is where I started to get the feeling that it was going to be, that it was like just an inappropriately drawn kids book, Like, this, like so the divergence that happens is basically they're just at school doing nothing basically, and Go-Go is like, hey, I got an idea. Me and Wasabi are going to challenge the entire football team to a game of football. And I guess to prove that they're badass or something. And so then they basically school the football team, and then they decide to join the football team to help them because this high school has a shitty football team.
Yes. Exhibit A about how Chris Claremont doesn't know how high schools work. These people are explicitly mentioned as visitors.
Well, okay, so that's another thing where the announcements earlier call them visitors, where it says one of them, Wasabi, is giving a cooking demonstration. So it seems like Hiro is undercover as an exchange student, and the other older people are undercover as like visitors from Japan and stuff. But then we get this shot of Go-Go, who is like doing something on a rope. She's like in gym class basically. Honey Lemon also has like gym clothes on. And so I guess they're part of the high school too for some reason. And then I guess any old person can join the high school football team because Wasabi gets to join.
Yeah, like Fred actually goes to this school, but he's just a student coach. If anything, it would make more sense if he joined the football team.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, in case you were wondering if all of these football players look like 30-year-old powerlifters, they do.
Yeah, they don't look like high schoolers at all.
No. Not even close. Like they're giants.
And another thing that we've talked about how it's hard to tell how old Honey Lemon and Go-Go are. Wasabi looks like he's like 28.
Oh yeah, at least. Oh yeah, definitely. He's definitely in his late 20s. Like he's got stubble and stuff. Like he is not a young person at all. But so anyway, that kicks off this plot where basically they're like, we're gonna join the football team, and that was when I was like, okay, so this is like a kid's book then, where it's like, these heroes who use their powers for goofy shit, right? But then why was there all this other like mission set up? And this is where it starts to get tonally like all over the place, right?
Yeah, but in this next the last page of this issue is just like a one page villain setup, but you do see the rest of the crystals in that scene.
Oh shit, that's right. Well, we still never figure out what they're for.
Nope, not at all.
So are we thinking that this was meant to be like the start of a series or something?
See, it's hard to say. It kind of makes sense that it would be, just because if it was if they went in knowing that this was just going to be a miniseries, you have to think that Claremont would have plotted it a bit better.
Yeah, a little tighter. It seems like the first part of this book is meant to be this mystery about the crystals and what their deal is and who this villain is. And then it cuts to something completely unrelated at the end.
Yeah, that the thing that happens at the very end makes no sense.
And I love it because it's so stupid. So
So
that
the next issue opens up with this football game, and it's
so this is the only I'm pretty sure this is the only time where the space between issues has had a logical like here to here progression.
yeah,
Like the last issue ended and they're like, we're gonna join the football team and help them win, and then the next issue is the football game. And Honey Lemon just gets to be a cheerleader, I guess, which I suppose if you're an attractive blonde, you just automatically have that status. Is that what the book is going for?
yeah. See, everybody on the team gets weird roles. So Gogo and Wasabi are football players. Fred, as we mentioned, is a student coach. Honey Lemon is a cheerleader because she's a girl. Baymax is just kind of sitting in a corner, and Hero is calling the game. He's the
Yeah,
PA announcer. No sense.
Hero.
That makes no sense. He doesn't even know
Hero.
what football is.
Yeah, Hero, who's been to school for one day and has self-described his lack of knowledge about football, is calling the game. And I guess you could argue that he's a super genius, but I'm gonna take his super genius credentials with a grain of salt since he gets freaked out by the concept of time zones. But so Gogo isn't just on the football team though. She's the quarterback.
Yeah. And
Like,
Wasabi's playing. Like I'm gonna show off some football geek. Wasabi is this big tough guy. He's playing. I think cornerback. That makes no sense. He should be a linebacker, but he is not. He is a cornerback.
cornerback, that's a defensive position?
Yeah, it's for those of you who don't know, cornerbacks are the people who guard receivers. Linebackers kind of they play the run and sometimes they guard like tight ends. But he's a big tough guy. He should be a linebacker. All right, enough
I
of
mean, I
that
think
football
in
tangent.
theory he's a big tough guy who's also like super agile or whatever, but also they just needed to make him make this like game-changing interception, I guess. Here's a really Claremontian moment. So one of Claremont's things is he like really over dramatizes moments, and his like use of prose basically enhances like the danger of a scene or like the suspense. He does that on a football tackle. Like, so here's what happens. Wasabi catches the ball, and here's the series of boxes after that. Just like that, the spectator stands, fall silent. None of us know what to think, what to say, what to do. He was hit so suddenly, so hard. All of us fear the worst. The crowd's concern I understand, but I really should know better. And then we get Wasabi like standing up and being fine. But why is it so dramatic?
And another instance of this being really dramatic is there's a point where Gogo has the ball. She's the cornerback, and she throws a pass. And Hero's narration is, "Gogo pass the ball. Gogo pass the ball." It's like, yeah, that's what cornerbacks do.
Oh yeah, it's some kind of lateral. That's exactly what it is.
It's like if you got an actual. It's like Claremont divorced himself from any American knowledge and actually wrote this as if a Japanese person was calling football, a game that they have learned for about an hour.
Is Claremont? I feel like Claremont is not American. Is that true? I feel
I've
like
got
it's
no
either
clue.
Canadian or maybe British, but
I
I could be
don't.
wrong. Anyway, yes, he doesn't understand football, it seems.
Yeah, he's a British-born American comic book writer.
Okay. So, all right. Well, that transitions nicely into one of the most problematic depictions in the whole series.
I don't
I mean,
think you need to say one of the most.
it's
It
the
it is. It just is.
so uh, Honey Lemon goes into the locker room and she gets attacked. She's in this like skimpy cheerleader outfit to begin with. She gets attacked and before she can pull anything from her power purse, the mysterious character attacks her with all these tentacles.
Yeah. And
Wraps her up with all these tentacles.
there's a line where the bad guy calls her "lovely honey."
Oh god, yeah, I forgot.
Ugh.
So yeah, it's like the creepiest, like rapiest little like thing. It's it's super out of place in this current story about a group of superpowered teens winning a football game.
Yeah, like you said, up until this scene, this comic is basically like straight for kids. It's goofy.
Well, it's like
It
it's like an
has
all ages book.
yeah, it has weird plot points that like appeal to kids, I guess. Like
Yeah, like the only
stuff you would see on a Disney Channel TV show.
right, like the stuff that makes it not so is that Honey Lemon apparently her like stomach like overheats, so she never has clothes there.
Just like
Uh,
the Queen.
exactly. But so basically, these tentacles possess Honey Lemon, and she becomes a tool of the bad guy, and we get this. I don't even know how to describe this.
It yeah, I don't know how to describe it without making myself uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's super uncomfortable. So the next page, Baymax gets a phone call from like the like Heroes saying, "Hey, has anyone seen Honey?" And Baymax is like, I don't know where she is." And then we get a panel of Honey, and she's calling Baymax, and leaving him like a message or whatever, and says, "I'm gonna go take a nap or something. I'm turning off my phone," which they're not just high school kids. Like they're on a mission, like that. I don't know.
Yeah, like if they were just regular high school kids, then everybody being nonchalant about that would kind of make sense. But
Yeah,
they're
but
a
they're like,
superhero team on a superhero mission.
yeah, in a foreign land. Like it's not even like they're home. So anyway, uh, the thing that is uncomfortable about this is the panel that shows her. She's changed clothes.
Yes, she has gone from a skimpy cheerleading outfit to like white panties and a white tank top that is tied right under her breasts.
So yeah, and we don't. The immediate previous panel is the one that has this huge tentacle grossness, and then we get this. So here's okay. So this ties back to the thing I said earlier. The artist on this book does covers now, and I really like those covers. But I hate the way the stuff he does in this book. Like his male characters are fine, but then he does this nonsense.
Yeah, it is pretty dubious to be honest. Uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's extremely uncomfortable. Uh,
So basically, she leaves. We go through the football game. Go and Wasabi help them win, and then we get to like another issue, another example of uh, the artist kind of being over sexualizing Honey again.
but this one's part of the script too, right?
I
The
mean,
boat.
I would guess that. I would guess, yeah.
Yeah, because the guard. Okay, so Honey drives this speedboat up to Plum Island where the secret research thing's going on, and she's in a bikini and basically is just a big distraction for these guards. Let me remind you, this is the book that just one issue ago was trying to sell us on the concept of these characters as high school students. So this is super creepy.
Incredibly creepy.
So basically she like catches their attention and is like, "Ooh, look, I'm in a bikini," and she's waving at them and stuff. And then she like jumps off the boat and screams, and the boat blows up. And these guys are like, "Oh no, we gotta save her!" And she like pops up out of the water and like shoots them with a blow dart knockout thing, and then comes up on shore. And there's an unnecessary ass shot. It's all. It's super. It's just more like weirdness. Like I thought, like you said before, earlier in this issue, they were winning a football game with their superpowers. I thought I was reading like an all ages book, and now it's like, what's happening?
So
I mean,
we cut back to the football game. It's over. There's some kind of like festival going on. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The team finds out that the island where the professor is and where Fury is under attack. That's where Honey Lemon just did her very uncomfortable scene. And then we have another example of Hero, the super genius, being a freaking idiot. So here, I'm just gonna give you guys a quote. He says, "Guys, one problem. Plum Island's miles offshore. None of us can fly. How are we gonna get there?"
yeah. Next page, boat.
Yeah.
Hey Nick, do they have to mention where this boat came from?
Nope.
Not at all.
And is the 13-year-old girl the one driving the boat instead of one of these superheroes?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Book is so stupid.
I mean, is it her boat? We don't know. Like, it makes no sense. So, yeah, like, there's a fine line between, like, spoon-feeding your reader and not giving them any goddamn information.
So then they get to the island, and Hero and Maris, is that what we decided on?
Yeah.
They put on these, like, I don't know, battle suits or something?
Yeah,
that
basically.
They're straight from anime.
Yeah, but before we get into them too much, the reason why they're wearing those is Hero and Maris have an argument where Hero is basically, "You're just some girl, you can't, come with us, it's dangerous." And she's like, "You don't have any powers either, idiot." And Baymax is like, "Don't worry, I totally made you guys some combat attire," as he calls it, and he holds up these things that are folded. Like, they look like cloth. And she says, "Look, Hero, a matching set," or whatever. And it looks like they're going to be in, like, these like, kind of spandex suit type deals, which they are, but they also have these, like, metallic armor plating on them.
Yeah, they look like, and we mentioned Gundam earlier, they kind of reminded me of what, like, Gundam pilots wear.
Yeah, like in that one, yeah. So they're like half armor, half like spandexy things. They're, as you said, they're super anime, which this book has an overall anime influence to it for sure. So then they argue for a little bit about like their game plan basically, and Fred basically tells Maris and Hero to get back in the boat. Like, it's like rehashing the whole like you guys don't have powers thing, but we just solved that problem.
Yeah, and he tells them to call the Avengers, but like there isn't really a reason to get the Avengers involved.
Yeah, no, I mean there's like a reported attack on this island thing, and that's really it. So then there's an explosion, and Honey Lemon comes flying at them, but she's in like the Whiplash costume. which has like 6 zippers, by the way, in case you were wondering. Uh,
And the zipper is zipped up to like her belly button.
yeah, her like navel, like the main zipper. She also has zippers on her boots that are zipped fully. But so she jumps down and she starts attacking him with like her whiplash powers. And look, I know it's a it's a comic book, and like secret identities and stuff tend to be pretty easy to fool around with. But their friend is missing. There's this blonde chick that leaps down with her purse, and she's not wearing a mask at all. She just has like sunglasses on. And how long does it take them to figure out who this is, Nick?
It takes them, what, 2 pages? Yeah, 2 pages.
Yeah, well, no, it's like it's three. It's she jumps down. There's that page. There's 2 more full pages of combat, and then the third panel on the following page is when they say, "Oh my God, it's Honey Lemon."
Oh yeah, I guess it seems like Go-Go knows who it is on the second page, but then she's gone for a page, and then she mentions that it's Honey Lemon.
Wait, where does she say she knows on the second one?
On the second one, she says that phrase she just used, something here is very wrong, and it's a callback to some line that Honey Lemon said earlier.
Oh, wait, no, isn't it? I thought "Whoops, so sorry" was a Go-Go line. Didn't she say that like 6 times when they were punking the football team?
Yeah, so it's a callback from something that happened earlier.
Yes, but you said you attributed it to Honey Lemon, but it's a
Oh, okay.
Go-Go quote. So yeah, let's just real quick before we move on from that. The quote is "Whoops, so sorry," and that's gonna come up like way more than you ever want that quote to ever come up. Like that is a terrible catchphrase.
It's a catchphrase from like that should be in like a
Like a 70s
1950.
sitcom.
Yeah,
It's terrible. So bad. So they fight, and it's not a bad action sequence actually. Like the action in this book is pretty fun. I think Wasabi is really really fun in this book. Like he does a lot of cool flippy things while he's throwing his knives and stuff.
yeah. I mean, it's a pretty good action scene, I would say.
And then we get this really dramatic shot of Baymax, who up to this point has just been chilling in his bowler hat, not caring that Whiplash is like throwing down with his teammates. He gets shot like a bunch of times.
He gets shot like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
Yeah, so he gets shot 8 times, and he's got like this green liquid coming out of him, and he looks all dead, and he's like sparking and stuff. And Hero's like flipping out, like this is the end of the line for him. I guess the assumption is that because that's when the two other supervillains show up, which is Gunsmith and Brute, and they are possessed versions of Fury and the scientist guy from earlier. But so are these guns are they like magical guns? Because if Hero built like a special defender attack robot who's not immune to bullets, then he's a huge idiot.
They have to be some kind of magic because in the first fight they freeze people.
Yeah, which
And
never
like
comes up again.
the guns aren't clearly defined. They're like construct guns. It
Yeah,
looks
they look
like.
like Green Lantern things.
Yeah. Oh, and just in case you guys were wondering, uh, Gunsmith slash Fury is in a total cheesecake comics pose
Oh yeah, I
that
mean not just pose but costume too. Like
that she has no reason to be in.
she was wearing regular ass clothes, and the gunsmith that we saw last time, who was a dude, had like a full on black head to toe costume. She has a purple bikini bottom and a purple like sweater sleeveless top thing. What is that?
I don't know.
She's got a bunch of pouches too, but it is baffling, and she's of course turned around to flash her ass at the reader in this dramatic shot. So, in case you were wondering if this issue didn't have enough really uncomfortable bullshit in it.
See now, we next up is issue 4, and here's where I think it might have been intended that was going to be like a full series, because um, the covers of 1, 2, and 3 have had the Marvel logo and then just issue number 1, 2, and 3. But then on the cover of issue 4, it says Marvel Limited Series 4 of 5. So I'm guessing it just didn't sell, and they were like, okay, let's just wrap this thing up in the worst and most confusing way possible.
Yeah, let's wrap this thing up. Claremont, if you feel like going ahead and telling an entirely different story in these last 2 issues, go ahead and do that. So yeah, the issue opens up. Baymax, who was previously dead and in his own, like, had fallen into his own blood, robots up and is more or less fine. Like, there's not really a huge sense of him being damaged, like, in a meaningful way. And he's even using his arm to block more of those, like, energy bullets. So, I mean, kind of inconsistent there. But so we get this massive, like, face off image, basically.
And we see Fred use his, like, big power, and it looks like he actually almost, like, turns into that monster.
Well, it looks like he's just, like, calling upon it, right? Like, he can make this construct thing, and then he uses it, because, like, he summons it, and then it's, like, big above him, and, like, Brute is there in front of him, and then he does, like, a punch motion down at nothing, like a pantomime, but then the giant monster guy, like, destroys Brute, like, a massive downward punch, you know?
Yeah.
So he doesn't, like, become this... It's a really, like, weirdly defined power set. Like, when I first saw, the trailers for the movie and then images from this book, I kind of thought that his power was going to be that he turned into a monster, like, he turned into a Godzilla, you know?
Yeah.
Like a little Godzilla, but he doesn't. He, like, gets this, like, torso construct summon that he can, like, punch with. I don't know, it's like a weird idea, you know? Like, why not just make him turn into the monster guy? So anyway, lots of fighting. Pretty much just fighting.
Hero and Maris, like, infiltrate the lab.
Yeah, before we get there, I want to say Go-Go turns into Sonic the Hedgehog for a panel.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Which is pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool.
But
yeah, it's totally Sonic's over B from Super Smash Brothers.
All of his B moves are turning into that little ball and doing something.
Up B is not.
Okay, Mr. Smart Guy. So, yeah, she turns into Sonic the Hedgehog. She, like, turns into that little blue, like, ball, little spinny ball thing. It's pretty awesome. Fight continues. Fight. Let's, like you said, skip ahead. They infiltrate. There's kind of a pointless scene where he uses some rocket boots to go down an elevator shaft and name drops Richards for no reason. So they make a comment about how everything looks like state-of-the-art and stuff, because I guess they were told it was like a rundown facility or something, so they're finding like this secret sub-basement, I guess. It's never really explained. We're getting these like big tubes with these that have like been broken out of, and they've got these like big, like little wire contraption-y things spilling out of them. And we will never find out what those are, will we, Nick?
Nope. Just
so
like
then
many things in this book.
So then they come across a pile of corpses.
No, Jack, they're not corpses. Because otherwise this couldn't be a kid's book with weird sexual shit in it.
That's right.
They're not dead, just unconscious.
One of them has a pulse, so they're all fine.
It's true. Maybe it was everybody's pulse. Just all connected into one person.
Oh, that's true. It's all we're all connected really at the end of the day. So they keep going deeper into the facility and they enter this room where they find the villain, right? Who's this they say, let's go find the bad guys, and it cuts. It's like an ironic shot of the bad guy like turning around and being like, "Someone's coming."
Someone
And
just said my name.
is that the crystal?
I believe that is the last crystal.
Okay. Is that the last time we see it? I feel like it is almost.
I think we see the crystals one more time, but not being used or anything.
Okay, so then we get more. We basically just get lots more battling. Eventually, they Honey Lemon dive tackles Go-Go, and they swap possessions basically. And so Honey Lemon reverts back to her bikini form, and Go-Go stands up and is in the unzipped Whiplash look. Then we cut back down to Hero and Maris, and he dive tackles the bad person.
By the way, I wanna point something out. It is pointless for Go-Go to have changed into Whiplash, because we see her changed, and then we never see that fight scene. Next time we see everybody, that fight is apparently over.
Oh shit, you're right! They solved that off panel.
It's like this big oh no, now they're gonna have to fight her, and then nope, fight resolved, off screen. Just another example of
that
awful
crazy. Plotting. So oh man, we should put a disclaimer at the beginning of this about how Chris Claremont is actually a really great writer.
Yeah, well, yeah, he is.
But anyway, not here. So Hero dive tackles the bad person who's this girl, and how does Hero handle that?
Doesn't he just tackle her? I don't really remember.
Okay, well, he dive tackles her. He just sees a bad person. Dive tackles her. She rolls over to face him, and he goes, "You're a girl?"
Oh, yeah.
Why is that shocking? I don't understand.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And another thing that's really weird...
It's not like he doesn't know.
Yeah, I mean, he knows girls who have, superpowers. And who
no, every girl... Here are the only girls he knows. One who has super battle armor that lets her run super fast, fly, and basically be Superman. A girl who has a magical purse that she can pull anything out of, and is also kind of just a generally, a fighter type person. And then Maris, who's a super genius like him, and Fury, who's a super capable secret agent.
So he is just blown away that the bad person would be a girl.
And that also never comes up again. We never really get a sense of who this person is or why we should be surprised that it's them, except for the fact that they're female. Oh my god, this bad person was a girl all along? Crazy.
And you know what else is something weird about this page? Hero's narration through the entire series has been in narration boxes. But for one panel, it's in narration bubbles, like thought bubbles.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that is to connect these series of thoughts specifically with this dialogue, but it is a weird lettering choice.
But so yeah, Gunsmith comes up or something and takes over Maris instead? Or no, it's Brute who comes up.
Well, yeah, but it's not it's the bad chick summons Brute, the Brute spirit or whatever, and it takes over Maris.
Oh, right.
And so then, Maris punches Hero, and he pulls out of his super suit a Garrett, which is a wire you use to choke someone to death. He's like, I'm ready for this, and gets totally owned. And I'm not really sure what the point of that's supposed to be. I guess it's supposed to show that he's been training or whatever, but it's pointless ultimately because he just gets decked. And for some reason or somehow he uses that thrown momentum. Brute grabs his ankle and throws him, and he's you fell right into my hands, basically, and like uses that momentum to dive tackle the bad person again.
Yeah, it's like either Brute threw him straight at her, or somehow he like redirected himself, which is impossible physically with physics. But yeah,
Yeah, it's it's weird. So then he's like dive tackling her, and we get this like super comedic like kick out of from off panel, and that's Gunsmith showing up out of nowhere. Uh, and so I guess Gogo as Whiplash is like taking the entire team by herself or something, but it makes no sense. Shows up whenever Hero's being held by Brute, and so the bad girl, picks up or she pulls out this random orb thing that like glows and shows them an image of Gogo as Whiplash, and it's out of nowhere, and it's basically just look, you're losing or whatever, and then that's when Gunsmith, who is ordered to shoot Hero in the face, elbows the bad guy out of nowhere, and Fury pulls out this like cybernetic eye. Also, it took one elbow to the face to knock out this bad guy.
yeah, and knocking out the bad guy changes Maris back from Brute into just herself.
Yeah, it like unpossesses everyone. Um, because you see those energy effects coming off of Fury also. But so she pulls out this eye and like crushes it in her hand, uh, and is basically wearing an eye patch for the rest of the time. And that's when you realize that her name is because she's Japan's Nick Fury, and I find that amazing. Um,
So yeah, they start packing up the crystals or something. We never find out what they are, what they could be used for. They are just done.
yeah, like we never get any answers on that front. And then twist, um, Wasabi says he's got some monitors back online, and he's picking up like life signs or whatever. And so they go investigating, and they're like, they talk to each other on the way and whatever. And then they find this weird like force field thing, and they go inside. And what's inside, Nick?
Inside is some aliens.
Some little like tiny person aliens with these like football-shaped helmets. It basically looks like if one of them took off their helmet, they would all be Stewie from Family Guy.
Yeah, pretty much. They're that same height. It's super weird. And so they're like working on some machine, and then issue 4 out of 5 ends.
Yeah,
So
and so but the last caption is, or the last couple captions, Hero's like, I mean, super villains I can deal with. They're so not a problem. But how are we supposed to deal with aliens? And so it makes you think that like they're building some like super doomsday device or whatever. Which again, this book up till now has entirely been about these crystals.
yeah, so this I have no idea why this miniseries just didn't end here. The conflict that has been driving the very loose conflict that has been driving the story is these crystals. And these crystals have been secured. There's no reason why it shouldn't just end instead of bringing up some nonsense about there being aliens.
Right. So then we get another instance of seemingly an entire issue's worth of plot taking place before or in between 4 and 5.
Well, admittedly, they kind of do one of those jumps where they kind of start near the end and then they kind of backtrack.
No, they don't.
Don't they?
No, I see. I thought that too at one point, but they never do the backtrack part.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Like, Hero seems to imply that they had this like conversation with the aliens and they made all these plans, but they never go back and show that. So they just jump straight ahead and they're like, "Oh yeah, we talked about it. It's totally cool."
Yeah, so we jump ahead to like Fury and Baymax are in like FBI custody.
Yeah,
Well,
they're in like
everybody's
an
kind of in S.
interrogation room, and in a different interrogation room is the rest of the characters, like the
Yeah,
doctor and the team and stuff.
but they're not being interrogated. They're just kind of like in a holding room.
Right, they're just being like monitored, it seems.
But so there's some, I don't know, there's some stupid conversation.
Well, let's go over their cover story. So they're trying to maintain the cover that Big Hero, to hide Big Hero 6's involvement. So their cover story is that some emergency called Dr. Ayasama and to the island. He left. He took his daughter, and so his daughter brought all of her friends. All of her friends, who consist of one person her age, one person from the local high school, and three people who are presumably in their 20s.
And four of those five people are ostensibly Japanese.
Yes, Japanese. And so, but not only that, so one of them is he's in like a Hawaiian shirt and like a samurai looking outfit with like a bandana on. One of them is in a bikini and looks like she's been in some kind of fight. And another one is in is in damaged battle armor.
Yeah, the FBI in this issue is just full of idiots because they don't think anything's weird about that. And then so Hero and the gang go back to the professor's house and we find out that it's been bugged. And one of the bugs, I swear to God, is just like taped under the table.
Yeah.
It's not hidden at all.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. And Hero makes a joke about that, and like the dialogue implies that it's because they are these super badass secret agents and the FBI just can't keep up, but it actually just makes the FBI look like huge idiots. So then Hero and Maris invent something that like jams their signals or whatever, or like sends some really loud sounds to the surveillance van so they can talk in private. And that's when Honey Lemon pulls out another one of her super magical things from her purse, because Go-Go, who's like half naked right now, is talking about how she has like part of her suit so she can still do her stuff, but she'll be vulnerable or whatever because it's not full armor anymore. And Honey Lemon's like, that's cool. I got this floating golden orb. I'll just throw it at you, and Wasabi will cut it up for some reason, and then that liquid metal will shape around you and become like your new armor.
Yeah, and apparently it's only going to last for 24 hours.
Yeah, so here's where I got like terrified because of this book, because she says, hope you don't mind losing your clothes, Go-Go, because this will burn right through them. So that says to me that underneath this thing, that when this thing goes away, she's going to be naked. And then, like you said, Honey Lemon says, by the way, I can only maintain that thing for 24 hours, and if I manifest any other power thingy, that one will go away.
So yeah, it is just like a total setup for Go-Go at some point to be naked, but it doesn't happen, right?
Right, yes. Mercifully, it does not happen. But I was
Thankfully.
reading it, and I was like, oh my god, no, please don't let that happen.
So then, like, they're under house arrest or whatever, and then like the local high school team that they
Seems
just
like
won the football game for comes and like frees them or something. It's
yeah,
stupid.
so they mob the house. It's total nonsense. They bust in and they're like, here, take our jackets. You guys are totally superheroes. That rocks. We'll cover for you. Hey everyone, meet at Martin's Landing. These superheroes are gonna show us something cool. Which to me is a bad plan, because if they're escaping and you've got all these teenagers who are saying to each other, hey everyone, those people who are escaping told us to meet them here. Like, that's where the police are going to go immediately.
Yeah, it's just really stupid. Pretty much.
So anyway, the team, escapes. They go to the coast, and they see these helicopters that are searching for them, basically. And this is a part that I think kind of makes no sense at all. Let me see what you think, Nick. Um, their plan is Gogo and Fred are going to zoom off above the water to draw away these helicopters. Um, and I immediately thought that that meant, to draw away the helicopters so they could boat back to the island or whatever. But instead, the team suits up into some scuba gear and they go underwater to a giant spaceship.
Yeah, like they go underwater, so they don't need to have the helicopters distracted because they won't be able to see them.
Exactly.
And
And
also,
the helicopters are clearly shown to be out in the water. Like they're not close enough to the shore where like they would be spotted going into the water, you know?
yeah, and then here's another problem. So Fred and Gogo successfully distract the cops, but then, so they lure them like over to the ground or something, and then they pretty much just kill them all.
Yeah, it's like uh it's presented in like script form, like in the writing, it's implied that they're just like breaking their cars and shit. But the first panel that we see them do anything, Fred does his monster smash, and the place where the punch is hitting is like where the people are sitting.
Yeah, it's like it's right where the windshield meets like the hood of the car.
Yeah, so
And
there's
then,
dead cops.
well, and then he like tears the car in half. And so like I guess they're saying that like the cop fell out of it so he's not dead. But
Yeah,
then
he said
he
exit the vehicle, please, gentlemen. But to me, I'm seeing just a sassy teenager emptying a car of the corpses he just made.
yeah, and then he throws the two halves of the car into other cars.
Yeah, dead. And then Gogo does some legitimately non-lethal tactics where she just flies up to a helicopter, kicks her way into it, and then conks the guys' heads together to knock them out.
Yeah, but then where does she put them? Because then she's sitting in the pilot seat.
Yeah, I mean, then she's just flying the helicopter. Yeah, I guess they're in the back or something, but it's weird. Baymax sitting in prison. We cut to him. Him and Fury are in this prison on Plum Island. This Plum Island's very multi-purpose.
Wait, they're on Plum Island?
Yeah, the caption at the top says Plum Island.
Oh yeah.
So he's watching on like a little video thing or something the fight that's happening, and says something. I don't know. They talk about Fred. It's kind of boring. Then we cut to before we see this fight with Fred and Gogo, the team who goes underwater to find this inexplicable giant spaceship that they know about, but we have not been introduced to at all. They break into it, and they are attacked by the villain from the last episode who has a name now, which was never given to her.
Yeah, Hero narrates. Well, I guess is that really her name? Because it's Bad Gal. AKA,
But it's one word. It's like a
True.
name. Like it's I don't know. And then they keep calling her that, don't they? Yeah. Last night when we decided to leave Bad Gal with the aliens.
Yeah,
Like I think
weird.
that's her name.
And then
And
also,
suddenly she has power armor and a samurai sword as well.
well, I think she's kind of taking on the Whiplash person because she also has a whip. But yeah, I don't know where the fuck that sword came from.
So yeah, so after the cop fight, we get a fight with them. Uh
It does that fight does have a panel that I almost died at. So Hero tackles Bad Gal, and she elbows him in the top of his head, and then his glasses turn into X's.
yeah, it's yeah, it's total anime moment. So Bad Gal is like thrashing them, and Honey Lemon is like, "Oh no, I gotta get something from my bag to help." And that was where I started like really freaking out again, thinking that we were gonna get a shot of of Go-Go landing a helicopter next to Fred and being like, "Give me some clothes" or something stupid. But then we just get like a basically Honey's like imagination, and it's like a little chibi thing of Go-Go, and her armor goes away, and then everyone just shoots her to death, I guess.
Yeah, they just straight murder this person.
So she's like, I can't let them just for no reason shoot my partner to death or shoot my friend to death. So I'm just gonna go up and punch Bad Gal in the face. And then Bad Gal like whips her, and it makes this like the daintiest little cut on her face.
Yeah.
Which previously we saw it wrap around Wasabi and like throw him full on into a wall. But anyway, Honey Lemon grabs the whip and like yanks her towards her and punches her in the face again. So that reinforces the idea that Bad Gal is like a lightweight. Like it takes nothing to knock her out.
Yeah, she gets punched in the face 2 times. Well, again, I'm sure that if we got punched in the face 2 times...
Yeah, but she's a super villain. She's got power armor and a samurai sword.
Yeah. She just goes down like a wimp.
So then...
Bad supervillain.
Hero and Honey are standing outside of this like cell thing. They open the door and all the aliens are inside. And all the aliens are like talking to each other and all this stuff, but it's like, weren't these people in the island beforehand? Like the dialogue or the narration boxes imply that the Big Hero 6 basically handed over Bad Gal to the aliens and they were like, all right, peace. And for no reason, I guess, came back, or because the aliens' ship was broken or something. I don't know. It's really very poorly defined what the hell is going on here. And then we had one of the most baffling parts of the whole series.
Which is saying something.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Is it the homework thing?
Yeah! So,
God, it makes no freaking sense.
I seriously just like started bursting out laughing. They're basically Wasabi's like, hey, I'm gonna babysit you guys, and they're like, oh no, but what about our homework? And I'm thinking to myself, the fuck are they talking about? And Hero is like, he gets this smile on his face, like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Don't worry, guys. Honey would love to handle it. And then Honey is seen walking away with a stack of papers, saying like, I'll get you for this, Hero.
And by the way, this stack of papers is like 4 feet tall.
Yeah, it's giant. But what is it? Like, what is she doing? Is she just taking it? Is she reviewing it? Like, is she going over their homework? Or what is going on?
Is she gonna do it for them? It's so weird. But that exchange is one of like the most anime to me.
Oh yeah, it's super anime. Then we get Hero and Maris, and they talk about how they're gonna fix the ship, and then it cuts to the beach, where there is just a regular home right on the beach. Does that look out of place to you?
Yeah, like it's not a beach house. It's like
No.
a house that you would find on like Main Street, USA, just on the beach.
It's like a suburban home on the beach. I was really thrown by that. The cops show up. So I guess this was part of their plan all along. They were like, tell the teenagers we're all going to meet down here at Martin's Landing or whatever. And the cops show up and they're like, all right, you kids, you're fugitives. You're coming with us. And they're all in like bathing suits and shit. And because of course they are. And that's when the alien ship bursts out of the water and it flies away. And one of the aliens says, you did so great with our homework, which I still don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And then I told you, then we get basically, the cops are heckling the kids, and they're like, what do you have to say for yourselves? And then the book makes me want to punch it in the face, where they all of the kids shrug and go, whoops, so sorry.
Yeah, and then it pretty much ends.
Then that's the end, yeah. I seriously wanted to punch this comic in the face at that panel. That was so bad.
Yeah, so Big Hero 6, the comic, is easily the worst comic I've ever read. I haven't read nearly as many as Jack has, so take it more seriously when Jack says it's the worst he's ever read.
It is seriously the worst I've ever read. It makes no sense. It's like 4 or 5 different plots strung together. It's crazy.
Yeah, like And I guess some of this might be because they probably intended it to be an ongoing series and then realized that it was just going to be a mini series. But like, there's no reason for Hiro to want to protect his secret identity because that never comes up again. There's not really any reason for them to play on the football team other than I guess to make them friends with the high school. But even that doesn't really go anywhere because like why are they why do they have to invite their friends to the beach to see the spaceship take off?
Well, I don't know that that was really necessary, but I think the bigger issue was that they needed a distraction to get out of the house that one time.
Yeah, but I mean they're
But
superheroes. They
it's
could
all
come up with something
threadbare.
better.
Yeah, it's all threadbare and nonsensical. So now we should probably transition to talking about the movie. So now that we've talked, how long have we talked, Nick, about the comic?
Pretty long, pretty long. To give you listeners a peek behind the curtain, we have been recording for an hour and 45 minutes. Now, some of that is being edited out because we've had some connection problems, but we're probably at about like an hour and 40 minutes.
So we'll probably keep our assessment of the movie pretty brief because I don't want to get too much into spoiler territory because that's the great thing about this whole podcast we've set up is that we've spoiled the ever-living shit out of the comic for you, but you need to know nothing about that comic to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, I went to go see Big Hero 6 on Friday with the managing editor of the Phoenix, Ashley Ayatone, and I told her that here is what the only leg up that I had on her after having read the comic. I knew the characters' names about a second and a half before they were said. That is it. And I kind of knew what their powers were going to be. But, like, literally, you need no familiarity with this comic at all to enjoy Big Hero 6, which is good because, one, finding this comic was damn near impossible, and two, it is shitty as hell.
Yes, it's very bad. And so any lack of association with that is for the better. So the movie is basically fantastic. We talked a little bit about the differences between the characters from the movie to the comic. They're all tech-based powers instead of some of the characters in the comic had real superpowers. Those aren't a thing. Honey Lemon's power is not a big bag of everything. It's much more interesting and unique than that. And I think they do some really fun stuff with it. The overall like tone of the movie is really good. Like, I mean, there's a lot of great comedy and action, and a lot of really like legitimately emotionally touching moments too that I really liked.
Yeah, it was there was some good emotional moments. There's a moment in pretty much every team up movie where something happens that kind of divides them and they break up for a little bit. And admittedly, they didn't break up for very long in Big Hero 6, but what drove that little split made a lot of sense, and it felt really organic and not forced like happens a lot of times and when that plot point inevitably happens in team up movies.
Yeah, and I think it was also at the heart of a really nice message to have in this movie, and a message that I really like in superhero fiction in general, which is which is generally like a non-violent. I mean, it's about people punching each other, but like you don't kill the bad guy basically.
Yeah,
Um,
it's the there's always a better way message.
yeah, and it's really well handled, and like you said, it makes perfect sense. Like everyone's motivations in that moment make perfect sense. Um, and yeah, it's really awesome. Like I went into it with high hopes, like kind of expecting a movie that I was really gonna like, and I walked out of it having received exactly what I wanted and a little bit more, because I didn't really anticipate it having as much of a kind of emotional like human connection that it did.
Yeah, and aside from the message, the biggest difference between the like teams between the movie and the comic is Baymax, which is really good because the comic book Baymax doesn't fit the story that they wanted to tell. Comic book Baymax is built to be a bodyguard, pretty much, a bodyguard fighting robot. But in Big Hero 6, and this isn't really a spoiler, but Hero's brother Tadashi creates Baymax to heal people, like to help people.
Yeah, he's
Which,
like a medical robot, and he's big and cuddly and stuff.
yeah, as opposed to the comic book Baymax, where he's either like this big dude in a bowler hat or a Gundam. Uh, Baymax in the movie is like a big teddy bear.
Yeah, he's like a big marshmallow man. He's like he really is like the heart of the movie, as cheesy as that is to say. Like that's the role that he serves entirely. Um, yeah, and it's really cool. And the personalities of the characters are all fleshed out much better than they are in the comic. They're all given like unique character traits that I think are really fun. Um, yeah, I really can't recommend this movie enough. Like it's awesome.
Yeah,
Go see it.
it's fantastic. I was telling Ashley this. It's been a very long time since I've seen an animated movie. For whatever reason, they never really do it for me. Like the last animated movie I really watched, I think was my freshman year in college when me and a couple friends watched Tangled. But like movies like Big Hero 6 uh, kind of make me wish that I was more into animated movies because it was really good. The animation was awesome.
Oh yeah, that's actually something I wanted to talk about. Like there are some really like subtle character movements and stuff, and like the way hair moves and the way clothes move and stuff. It's all so good. Like the way Baymax interacts with everything, like the way his uh, the fact that he's basically like a big inflatable balloon. Um, like it all it looks real, but not in that like kind of creepy Polar Express sort of way where it's in like the uncanny valley, you know? It like because everything's very stylized, but it has like a really great sense of weight to it, and I just like there were little character movements that I thought were just amazing that they had in there.
Yeah, it's just an awesome movie. It's not. I mean, it's not a perfect movie. There's a plot hole that I think is fairly big that I can't talk about without spoiling the movie. So we can talk about it once we finish recording. But I mean, it's an
There's like
incredibly solid movie.
yeah, and like there is like a twist in it that is pretty obvious, kind of from the get go, but but yeah, I mean it's it's great. Like it's like any movie. It's got its flaws and its strengths, but I think its strengths really outweigh the flaws.
But yeah, and going back to the characters about how they feel really real. Even like Hero, we complained about the comic a couple times where Hero is supposed to be the super genius, but he says really stupid things like not thinking of getting to an island on a boat or not knowing what time zones are. But like the hero in Big Hero 6 doesn't have moments like that. Like he is pretty smart all the time. Like he comes up with innovative ways to fight the bad guy.
Yeah, and he's the guy that builds all their suits. Like he takes all of their like respective technological specialties and kind of enhances them with his own kind of robotics expertise, which is cool. Because they're all like science nerds. That's another cool thing is it's like they're all college students, and a big part of the beginning of the movie is getting Hero to kind of be interested in schooling and stuff because he's this super genius 13-year-old kid who graduated from high school already. So he's like cocky and he's exactly what like a prodigy super genius would be like, you know? Like he's not that was one thing I really liked about the movie versus the comic. Is the comic he talks about being smart a lot, and he says he built Baymax, and he says he fixed that alien ship so it could fly, but he doesn't. We don't see him do one smart thing in all five of those issues. And in fact, we see him, like you said, say a bunch of dumb shit.
Yeah,
Um,
and like Jack said about how he acts like a 13-year-old prodigy would act, for a fair amount of the movie, not a fair amount, maybe for like the first 15 minutes, I mean, he acts exactly like how that character would react to the point where I kind of wanted to punch him in the face a couple times because
yeah, I
he
mean,
is really obnoxious. But then like he meets Tagashi's friends who eventually become the members of BH6, and then he kind of starts being a normal person because now he has friends.
yeah, and also I think he goes through a really nice arc because he is like a cocky little shit at the beginning, and then he develops an investment in getting into that school, and so we start to identify with him more. Like we see his excitement in that, and that's really fun. And then some stuff happens throughout the movie, and we get like a I think we get a really good sense of his character. Like the rest of the team members kind of get boiled down to like one key trait, which is kind of necessary for this sort of introductory ensemble cast type thing to kind of focus on one guy. But I think that focus is used really well. Like I think we get a great sense of Hero as a person, like flaws and all.
Yeah, no doubt. Uh,
Also, the best character in the movie is Go Go Tomogo, and if you don't agree with that, then you're an idiot.
yeah. Maybe not be so hostile to our 15 listeners, but
No,
uh,
they Go Tomogo.
yeah, it is true. I mean, like there aren't really any bad characters, but she's the coolest for sure.
She's so awesome. I want to hang out with her so bad.
Is there anything else we want to talk about with BQ6, the movie?
I don't think so, because I think any more we verge too far into spoiler territory, and I don't want to ruin anyone's enjoyment of this awesome movie. Oh, I will say one thing. It doesn't really take place in our world. Like the comic, they're from Japan and they come and visit America, but in the movie, the whole movie takes place in a city called San Francisco, which is a amalgamation of San Francisco and Tokyo. They do a lot of really cool stuff with like the architecture and everything, but it's very much just kind of its own world. Like there are these like blimp balloon things that float over the city and like super robots and stuff. It's really fun. Like it's good movie, good stuff. Go see it.
Yeah. Um, so that's about it. I'm Dominic Scioli, the associate editor of the Loyola Phoenix. Trying to think of anything that we have out. Just look around the site. Jack, who are you?
I am Jack. I am the artist on a comic called Atlas, which you can find at atlascomic.com. Our first two issues are available to read online there. You can also download them. Our third issue should be online soon. I keep saying that, and we inch ever closer, but it will be soon. Um, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/atlascomic. And you can find other general superhero drawings I do, like one I did of Go Go Tomogo, on my Tumblr, which is jcioli.tumblr.com.
Awesome. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.